Hey out there, YouTubers. Welcome back. I got a little bit of a different video today, but kind of going back to what I was talking about on my latest video. I had the Alice in Chains debate, rock or metal. So today I was going to talk about the best albums. Well, it's not technically the best, but I have so fucking many. But I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 parts. But the albums, some of my favorite albums that was released during the grunge era, which is, not grunge, obviously, like metal and hard rock and whatnot. So I got 15 here, and I'm not going to talk about them that much because I don't want to bore the shit out of you. So I'm just going to get started. I have them on cassette, CD, and vinyl. I have a lot of them on CD when I do more of these videos because, growing up in the 90s, vinyl was pretty much dead. And I should have bought more vinyl back then, but CDs were the thing to get real easily, so that's why I have a lot on CD. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to probably surprise people with. I don't think it's a great album. I'll just throw that out there right now, but it's a big name, big artist. And I won't sweep this under the rug because there are 3 songs on this album I like a lot, and I think it's very underrated. The second half of the album, but as it's infamously known as a terrible producing album in sound, that is Forbidden, Black Sabbath. It sounds like shit. Tony Iommi is supposed to do a remaster of this. He says it's done, but I don't know when it's coming out. But Ice-T, once again, he appears on the fucking new Megadeth album, but it actually sounded decent on that one. He wasn't really rapping. This one he raps, it sucks. But the songs I like the most are all on the second side in order. Sick and Tired, which is my favorite. Rusty Angels, and the title track. So, yeah, the second half definitely redeems itself. Most people would put that as their worst Black Sabbath album. It's probably my second least favorite. The solo Tony Iommi album I don't like that much. It was not supposed to be a Black Sabbath album for a reason. So, yeah, that would probably be my least favorite, but that's not far off. Speaking of Black Sabbath, Tony Martin era is supposed to have reissues on his albums on vinyl sometime soon, but I haven't heard anything lately. And I need to do a Black Sabbath discography ranking. I need 2 more Black Sabbath albums, and I'll have them all. So look forward to that eventually. Next up, I already talked about this on my LA Guns video. That's Vicious Circle. It's one of my favorite LA Guns albums. It has a lot harder edge to it, like a more modern, darker edge to it. I mean, you have Face Down, Long Time Dead, Once Again, Crystal Eyes for some fucking reason. Why Ain't I Bleeding, which is probably my favorite song on the album. Lots of good songs on here. Who's in Control, Let 'Em Roll. Yeah, it's LA Guns, but with a modern 90s sound. So I highly recommend Vicious Circle. This one is the second Ugly Kid Joe album. Menace to Sobriety. Try to get the damn thing in the picture without the glare. I never did get the original pressing. Apparently it was only released in Greece on vinyl, but last year I think Australia of all fucking places got a collared vinyl of this, and they're still selling it for a lot of money. But it's a good follow-up to the America's Least Wanted. By the way, they have a new album coming out in a couple weeks, but it's not as good as America's Least Wanted, but it's a pretty damn solid effort. Tomorrow's World, Milkman's Son, Sucker Path, Jesus Rode a Harley Davidson, and the Candle Song, all good songs. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Ugly Kid Joe or the debut album. Next up, CD starting now. Enough's Enough, Animals with Human Intelligence from 1993. I forgot to mention, the grunge era started in like 90, 91, 92, 91, 92. I'm not counting 92 albums because it was right at the beginning of the grunge era. I'm talking more 93 to 96. This was 95, LA Guns was 94, and Forbidden was 95. This is 93. The first 3 Enough's Enough records is all you really need. I mean, I like Paraphernalia. That's a fucking amazing album. Okay, 4 albums, but the first 3 are definite. The debut, Strength, which is my favorite, and this one. They're all 3 good. And you can't go wrong with Enough's Enough if you like the 80s rock and sound, because they're Donny Vai and Enough's Enough have the sound that unlike any other band. It's like the Beatles meets glam metal meets Cheap Trick. But yeah, Superstitious, right by your side, the video or the single. Innocence, great ballad, One Step Closer to You. Rock and World, Bring It On Home, just a great album. This one I already talked about, so I'll just go through real quickly. That's Kix, Show Business. One of my favorite Kix albums. It's sadly overlooked. Definitely needs a vinyl release. I don't know why they haven't put it out yet. But yeah, Ball Baby, 911, Fireballs, Baby Time Bomb, the first four kick ass. And I said in my Kix video, the second half is a very diverse type sound. You get like a piano, you get like a funk sound song. Then you have almost like a Beatles-esque sound on one song. It's pretty different, but it's a very underrated Kix album that I highly recommend. Next up, my second favorite, Lillian X album from 1993. I keep forgetting the fucking year. 95, 93. That's Psycho Schizophrenia. It's fucking. This is probably Lillian X. Well, their older stuff. Their newer stuff is dark and pretty heavy at times. Well, it's more melodic, but not really heavy. But this is dark. Psycho Schizophrenia, Deep Red Shadows, Crucified, Stop the Hate, Needle in Your Pain. Yeah, you can tell it's a more alternative 90s sound, but it still has the. It's not like Love and War, which is my favorite at Lillian X. It's more updated 90s sound, but it still has the 80s. You can tell it's still 80s, an 80s band. It's not grunge or anything. It's just darker lyrically, and it's just a more, like I said, more updated sound, but I highly recommend it. The title track's fucking amazing also. Lillian X was a band that should have been way bigger than they were. Next up, one of my favorite era grunge albums, and that's their comeback album, and that's Phobic by Warrant. This had James Kotak on drums and not Steven Sweet, and I think Joey Allen left too, or he might be on this one. I know he left for the next one, which is the fucking Belly to Belly, which is an abomination. But Undertow's great. Family Picnic, which deals about, child abuse. It's the single, Sum of One, which is one of my favorite songs by them ever made. It's really underrated. Ultraphobic, the title track's good. Stronger Now is one of the best ballads he does, and they actually made a video of that too, with Janie Lane just playing an acoustic guitar. And what can I say about Janie Lane that I haven't already said in my video about Dog Eat Dog? It's just, he was such an underrated songwriter. Never got the credit he deserved. So yeah, I mean, this is not as good as Dog Eat Dog, because that's my favorite Warrant album, and it's not as good as Cherry Pie or the debut, but it's not bad either. It's by far their fourth best, but I would track it down if you don't have a copy, and it's not on vinyl. It's from 95. Next up, an album most people already know about, also from 95, and it actually sold well for the grunge era, and that's Subhuman Race, which I don't have on vinyl. I really want. I don't have the box set that just was released last year or the original pressing. But yeah, this is definitely Skid Row. I don't know if it's their heaviest or not, because Slave to the Grind was just a fucking assault. It was one of my favorite metal albums ever, but it's definitely, there's a lot of, yeah, I would say it might be their heaviest, and it's right on par with Slave to the Grind, because My Enemy, which was released as a single, and Beat Yourself Blind, which is my favorite song off the album, both heavy songs. Frozen, a heavy song. Subhuman Race, the title track, might be the hardest song they ever made. It's like under 2.5 minute song. It's really short. Into Another, which is an alternative metal song they released as a video, which is another top song from this album. And Breaking Down, which was from the Prophecy movie. I think it was the third one, if I'm not mistaken. I've never watched any of those, the ones with Christopher Walken. But yeah, it's is it as good as Subhuman Race or Slave to the Grind? No. Or the debut? No. But it's grown on me over the years, and I never really hated it like a lot of people have. So, I mean, if you don't know it, you probably already do. If you're watching this channel, I would say check it out. And the last CD I have here from 94, their second album, a lot of people probably don't know who the fuck this is, and that's Gothard, melodic hard rock band from Switzerland. And Steve Lee was such an amazing singer. If you don't know who Gothard is, go on YouTube right now and type in Steve Lee Gothard, the singer. And he was, how he can sing, he was like the Steve Perry of Europe, basically. His vocals were like really good. It just wasn't as famous over here. Um, so many highlights on Dial Hard. Mountain Mama, that's a good song. I'm Your Traveling Man was actually written by Mandy Meyer of Crocus. It was on that Cobra album. I have their only album with Jimmy Jameson on vocals. They did that, so he must have took that with him, and they re-recorded it for this album. Um, the last song, I'm On My Way, might be my favorite song by them. There's so many good Steve Lee songs. It's pretty much like a Bon Jovi-esque type ballad, but a lot better than what Bon Jovi does anymore. So, yeah, and they even have Beavis and Butthead intro on one of these songs. I forget which one it is, but they have the laugh that Beavis and Butthead does. It's it's at the beginning on one of these songs, but yeah, that's a hell of a band to check out. If you want to check out Gothard, I recommend the first album, this one, the third one, G, and their biggest one, the most famous one's Home Run, which was their highest selling from, I think, 2001. So that's all the CDs. The next up, I'm just going to go through these vinyl real quick. And this one, another great follow-up to an amazing studio record. And that's, I'm trying to get all this fucking glare. I don't know why it's coming in. And that's Push Comes to Shove. This is the only version on vinyl they have is the picture disc. But yeah, it's not, obviously it's not going to top the debut. The debut is really amazing. But, Headed for Destruction, the title track, Rock-a-Ho, Chinatown, such a good record. It's one of the, like I said, one of the better follow-ups. If you haven't heard Jackal outside the debut album, I highly recommend Push Comes to Shove. Next up is one. This is rare as hell, unless you live in Denmark. This is rare as hell to get. The only pressing of this was a 2015, I think, 2015 Danish only release, and that's Help You're Selfish, which is probably my second favorite d.a.d. album. It's fucking amazing, and it's their hardest album they made. I mean, d.a.d. is not a hard, heavy band, but if you listen to this, it definitely has a lot of their harder riffs in it. Reconstructed, Written in Water is fucking hard as hell. It's definitely heavy metal. It's probably my favorite song on the album. This title track, Naked but Still Stripping, typical. Praying to a God that never, I forget what he says, that never comes or something, that never listens. I forget what the fuck he says. So that's another good one. Flat, it's the only acoustic song on the album. But the rest are, like I said, a lot of it is harder edged than, say, Sleeping My Day Away or Rim of Hell. But yeah, I highly recommend this one. It's probably their most diverse and heaviest album, Help You're Selfish, and probably their coolest cover too, to be honest. Simple Yet Effective. That was from 95 also. I keep forgetting the fucking year. Push Comes to Shove, 94. And one is very underrated, as is the band, Winger Pool. It didn't sell well at all. I think it might have made it top 100. This is definitely a more progressive, modern Winger, heavier Winger. Brian Revolution Mad, the title or the opening track, is my favorite. It starts out with a slow acoustic ballad, and it just kicks in really heavy in midway through the album. The Spell I'm Under, that's on their greatest hits. Kip Winger plays sometimes. Junkyard Dog, Tears on a Stone, it's almost like progressive rock. It doesn't sound like anything Winger has done since. The Lucky One, No Man's Land, another slow mid-pace ballad. Well, not really a ballad, but mid-paced rocker, kind of like State of Emergency. And Who's the One, which they made a video for this too. It's an acoustic ballad. So yeah, it's progressive, not really alternative, but progressive, just modern rock for the time. It's not so-called glam. So that's trying to get the damn fucking picture in there. 93, Winger Pool. Next, I think this is 94 or 94, I was right. I talked about this one before. It's one of my top 10 favorite Alice Cooper albums, Last Illusion. The Last Temptation. I'm thinking Guns N' Roses for some fucking reason. But yeah, when you had the end of the hair metal era Guns N' Roses had, or god damn it, I'm looking at the Guns N' Roses album right there. That's why I said Temptation. The last three previous Alice Cooper albums, they were all like hard rock, hair metal type. This one is still hard rock and metal, but it's more serious. It's not the, Constrictor or trash type album. Lost in America, basically a song about my life. The best song, maybe the best song of the album, the most famous song, the single. Sideshow, great song. Stolen Prayer, another ballad, and It's Me. I mean, I guess best of his best songs on this album are ballads. Sideshow, the opener, is not a ballad. It's a just a standard rocker. It's pretty good too. But that's Alice Cooper is one of his best albums that nobody ever fucking talks about. They talk about Trash, maybe Hey Stupid, in the 70s, like Welcome to My Nightmare, but they never fucking talk about The Last Temptation. I don't know why. It flew under the radar, probably because it was fucking grunge era. The album was in the grunge era, so nobody fucking paid attention. I got two more here, then I'll be done. I already talked about this one too. And god damn it, fucking glare. I can't get any picture on this because I'm trying to get my face in the screen with the album, but the glare, and that's Euthanasia. My favorite cover of Megadeth. Babies annoy the shit out of me. So hanging them upside down on, telephone, or not telephone, god damn it, clotheslines from their feet. It's just a cool concept. And, the title track has a meaning because it was saying basically how younger people were never shown anything and they're pretty much thrown to the fucking wolves in this shitty world we live in. And it's the truth. They haven't a chance. I was never taught shit and I'm struggling. So, yeah, it's kind of like a play on words. But, yeah, Train of Consequences. God damn, I'm fucking up a lot. Train of Consequences. To Le Monde, their most famous song from this album. Legion Fields is good. Reckoning Day, which is another one of my favorites. Addicted to Chaos. The first half of this album is fucking amazing. It's my third favorite, I would say, Megadeth release. And last but not least, I need to do a ranking of these guys too. I don't have their newest album or their first album, but I have the rest of them. And that's Creator, Cause for Conflict. And this album was one of their experimental albums of the 90s. It's their fucking heaviest album and darkest lyrically, because Millie was going through through a divorce and a lot of personal shit in his life. And this is like a combination of like industrial and thrash combined. It's just a very personal album and dark album and angry album. But that sounds up a lot of creators' albums. But no, if you listen to this album, once again, it was thrown under the radar because the fucking mid-90s, nobody listened to it because all metal was killed off at that time. But I mean, talking about Catholic priests, progressive proletarians, hate inside your head, men without God, just isolation, which is it doesn't really fit, but it's a great acoustic ballad of all fucking things on this heavy-ass album to end the album with. But they don't play anything. Lost is their single video they released off this album, which is another good fucking song. That's why to describe this album is just anger, very personal and dark and pissed off. And alternative meets grunge, or alternative meets industrial meets thrash. It's hard to explain, but that's basically what this is. And I like this album so much. I'm a huge Creator fan. They're in my big four. That I got the rare version, which is the metal case, the CD metal case only released in Germany. So yeah, in 95. So that's it right there. So I thought I'd make a different video because I was stuck on the whole grunge thing. I was thinking maybe I should make videos on grunge era albums. So that's my list. It's under 20 minutes. I think the next one I'll do might be another horror one because it's October and I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll definitely make another part to this video because there's so many fucking albums I have from this time period. I'll have to split them up because there's a lot I haven't talked about yet. What do you think of these albums here? Which one should I cover next? If I have it, I will in the next list. Once again, keep on rocking. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'll put a link in the description of a video I did in the past, again, and the subscribe option. So I know I fucked up a lot tonight. I just kind of winged it like I do every night, and oh well, I got through it. So have a good night. Thanks for watching. Rock on.